Good morning, everyone. It is the day before Thanksgiving, and we are here on the Power Huddle today. It looks like we have Debbie out in Fresno. Um, doesn't look like she's on video yet, but I would love to know how everybody on the call is doing this week, and if anybody felt the shift, or if anybody felt a change in the market last week. Julie, how are you? Are you in San Francisco? No?
No, I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, nice. So how does your last week or two go in real estate?
Well, I got an accepted offer, so that's always good, right? For my buyers.
Nice. No. So I just feel like there was a call this morning that one of my lenders put on, and he had put a post out that said that it was a buyer's market here in Denver. And there was a big debate going on between several of us that the market was not necessarily a buyer's market, but it was very specific to different areas of town and different price ranges. So I just wanted to kind of jump on here a little bit and see what everybody else was thinking. I can tell you that in the last week, 2 weeks of Denver, houses that have been on the market for, 60 days are getting multiple offers. Some are still sitting, and some definitely are a buyer's market, but others are starting to move at a record pace. Actually had one listing that was an old 1949 bungalow, and it's in a neighborhood called University Hills here in Denver. And in that neighborhood, a lot of times they buy the houses, they scrape them, and they put up like $2 million houses. And I just thought that it was a really interesting story to tell because it was priced at 590, which is rather low for the Denver metro area, but not like excessively low. And for the updates on this house, I wouldn't say that it was priced aggressively by any stretch of the imagination. But what was cool about it was that we went under contract, and then I actually procured two other written backups. And I have not done that in about 4 years. I haven't had written backups on properties, even though it is my objective every single time to try to get them. I haven't seen that started. I haven't seen that happening in many, many, many years. So I feel like we have a change coming, right? Um, yeah. So is there anything that I can go over with anybody today? Any questions, any tips, anything that I could possibly answer for anybody? Um, Julie, do you have anything? Hey, Debbie, how's it going in Fresno? I know you're not on camera, but I'm wondering if you can join with the mic. No, she's listening. Oh, how are you? How's it going in Fresno?
It's going. I think since the election, and I don't know if that's the milestone that brought it on, but since the election, I'm also not just a realtor, but a transaction coordinator. Since the election, I got 10 files in escrow to work on. So, I'd say agree with that. I don't know if that was what a buyer's market was intended to indicate, that buyers are out looking, but it's definitely not a buyer's market here because there's low inventory, but there are buyers. So,
The buyers are definitely coming back. Yeah, and there's definitely an increased consumer, I don't know, confidence. And I'm hoping that our buyers are understanding that interest rates are expected and have this week come down, and they're expected to go down even further in January. So if you have buyers that are on the fence, they should be out doing it now because, I don't have a crystal ball. It could be completely different. But what I do see happening is that in the spring or January or February, we could really pop off. Does anybody else have listings already signed for January? I have I have several. Like, and I had two pull off of the market for the holidays against my advice. They wanted to just wait until um January to try again. But yeah, I am definitely seeing a lot of unusual things that we haven't seen in the last few years. So I'm seeing people pre-list for January, exactly what Debbie said. I'm seeing buyers jump back into the market. I'm seeing the files go up and the under contracts go up. So as a TC, are you seeing anything cool that the rest of us maybe aren't seeing on the back end, Debbie? Like,
One of the things that I think might surprise some people is it doesn't seem to be an issue for sellers to compensate buyer brokers.
it does not. I haven't had any issues with that. I've had people ask me about that in listing appointments. Of course, because they want to try to not have to do it, right? And they don't have to do it, but then again, I don't have to take the listing either. So, yeah, Debbie, that's a great point. Are you seeing anything cool in the transactions? Like, oh, well, not cool. Are you seeing anything negative in the transactions? Are you seeing inspections not happening or appraisals, or are you seeing more buyer warranties? Are you seeing what are you seeing? Anything like that?
Actually, transactions have been pretty smooth. Had one situation come up, but I think it's a one-off, and it was just the attitude of the agents that were on the other side. And I think what was forgotten in the conversation with these other agents was the goal is to sell the house, not argue with the buyer's agent about minutia. And so, giving each other grace, and I was in a leadership meeting yesterday talking about this, giving each other grace. We're all trying to figure this stuff out. I mean, no matter where we are in our season of real estate, whether it be our first year or our 10th year or our 25th year. Yeah, sometimes there's some similarities with education when it comes to a 25-year veteran and a 1-year rock star. They're still learning because some of the 25-year-old veterans haven't kept up with the times.
Well, I think the problem, not to interject, and I want you to finish that statement, but I think the problem is that when you've been in the business for 25 years, the consequences of it. And then when you're that first year out, you're fearless. You know what I mean? I think that has a little bit to do with it too. I also think that that younger agents don't have an advantage, but they do. They just think differently, right? So you go back to your point. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. I guess the point is, I'm hoping for more collaboration and cohesiveness in transactions because there have been a few that have gotten a little passionate, I'll say. And so just keeping the focus of we're here to achieve the client's goals. And in that, we'll achieve our goals, not that our goal comes first, because it's all about the relationship with the client. And there's some agents that have either never had sight of that or have lost sight of that. And I think it has to do with it being such a challenging year for many agents. It became almost a state of desperation for some. So it's like, I got to have this deal at no matter what the cost. And so,
Great. I see. I can relate to everything that you're saying. I find that there are, and this isn't negative by any stretch of the imagination, but there are agents that need to call and talk about every little thing instead of just being true to the transaction. And if your buyer has a request, putting it in writing, right? I'm seeing a lot of that difference right now. And I don't think that, back to the 25 years. Yeah, I've been in business 25 years. I don't like to necessarily bring that up a lot because, yeah, I sell a lot of real estate, but I'm not the best, most aggressive real estate agent in the world, right? I don't sell, 100 a year anymore. But, some of these young rock stars are coming out and they understand how to use the Facebook ads and the Instagram and YouTube and all the things that are required to actually dominate in the current real estate world. And they are coming in and they're taking all the candy from the older established agents, right? I think also that the agents that are really killing it right now, and I've talked about this a million times, but the agents that are killing it in 2024 are the agents that have an established neighborhood and they have an established farm. They are consistently branding in their neighborhood. They're consistently holding events. They're consistently doing CMAs. They're consistently being in front of everybody in a neighborhood. Those are the natural born killers this year. Those of us who, yeah, Debbie's laughing. The ones that are like, me, who, if you know my story, I had a divorce. I did have a neighborhood, but after the divorce, I decided to spread out and be all over the Denver metro area. It's a little more challenging if you're working off of leads and referrals and you're not staying into a compact little area. So yes, I think Julie put something on there. Yes, Julie, you brought up a great point. Julie said, I'm actually getting more than usual by asking for what I want instead of what they listed on the MLS, right? So of course we don't list. Are you're referring to compensation, right, Julie?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Because it's not listed, you just write it in and they're taking it, they're accepting it. I haven't had anybody kick back saying nope.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be real careful about my words that I use here. But I had one that I wrote this weekend that been on the market for 103 days. And I wrote in what I wanted because I'm paying a referral out to another agent. And the agent sent me a text back and said that their partner would absolutely not pay the percentage that I asked for. And I wrote back in a very sarcastic but not rude way. And I said, so they're not going to accept this transaction or this offer over, and I did the math, $1,677. And you've been on the market for 103 days. Are you serious? And about 45 minutes later, they signed the contract. So I agree with you, Julie. It is happening. They are just taking it. I also think that it's easier to, in many ways, it's harder and it's easier. I know it's the craziest thing that I'm ever going to say. Debbie knows I talk like this all the time, but a lot of my listings, it's easier to get, it's easier to sign certain compensations now than it used to be, right? Because when we're explaining it in Colorado, our contracts are different than everybody else in the United States when it comes to the compensation part. But they have to ask in contract for what they want to be paid on our contract. So it's easier at the listing side to get paid what you as the listing agent feel like you need to be paid to market correctly. So
Yeah, that's because they're just seeing the one side.
well, we actually write the whole thing.
But you tell them,
Yeah. In Colorado, we actually write the whole thing in, at least my brokerage does. And there's a subsection that says may pay up to blah, blah, blah for buyer agent compensation, but it doesn't say that they have to, right? So you do the total and then it says may, right? And then at the bottom, I just clarify in additional provisions when I'm being paid if it's my side or if it's both sides. That's another point that I'm having. So I I'm not an agent that's afraid of transaction brokerage. I don't know. Every other state calls it something different. Some people call it dual agents, yada, yada, yada. But here we call them transaction brokers, which makes this a neutral party. What I am finding with this new rule is that before I had zero problems writing both sides of the deal. But what I'm finding is after I give the disclosure and I go through it, and, we'll meet you at the property and explain this, right? But I am seeing across the board that buyers, once you explain it to them, they may meet you at the property, they may look at it, and they are saying, after they read it, after they understand it, after they absorb it, that they want their own representation. So I think the net of this whole thing is that buyers are really realizing that they do want buyer agent representation, and sellers realize that they do want seller representation. And so what's happening is we're meeting at the property, we're explaining these things, and then or even before we get to the property, and then the buyers are saying, whoa, wait, I'm going to go get my own agent, right? And so they do. And I don't think that the end result of this, which, up for debate, was to save consumers money. These might actually be costing the consumers more money because buyers really do want their own agent now. And you're hearing all this yada, yada, yada out in the world that the buyer's agents could go away. I'm seeing quite literally the opposite of that. I'm seeing buyer's agents are getting stronger and they're actually making as much or more than the listing agents right now. So, yeah. Anything else going on? How are you, Suma? I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any new transactions or buyers or anything going on strange or different?
Not much. I'm closing one next week. It was supposed to close today, and due to Thanksgiving, lenders couldn't send the docs. Other than that, nothing actually. Like, I have to plan now, yeah.
Are you working on your business plan for next year?
Yeah.
Nice. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Just had something pop into my brain that I was going to talk about, but of course it slipped.
One thing I was going to mention too, was buyer broker agreements. I'm finding that agents aren't having them signed prior to showing. So when it comes time to provide the page of the buyer broker agreement here in California, some places require the page of the buyer broker agreement that shows what you agreed to for the compensation. The dates are not consistent. So they're creating the buyer broker agreement after they've shown the property, and they're creating it when they write the offer. And that's not the time to do it here in California.
Yeah. Right. So it is totally different. I think most of the 50 states, they were saying that you had to get that signed before you showed the property. Here in Colorado, that is not the fact. And I believe that there is something going on right now where the DOJ is saying, yeah, you can't require a buyer to sign a buyer's agency before they know that they want to work with you, right? So that's not protecting the consumers either. So I think that is going to play out here pretty quickly, and I think it's going to be where, yeah, it doesn't matter what I think, right? But I have a feeling that it's going to be more like Colorado, and that you can't force the buyer to sign something to see a property, right? We still have procuring cause here, but I find it's better practice to send them the definitions of what the different agents are, at least in my world, right? So I can't tell you what to do in yours. And I can't tell you, by brokerage, what everybody wants in different states. So we're going to be real careful there. But what I like to do is explain the difference between transaction brokers, buyer's agents, seller's agents, send that to them. I like to send them a either transaction broker or buyer agency for one particular property. If they don't sign it, then I have the email showing that I did send it to them. So it's date stamped, right? If we go in, we see the property, I explain it to them again in, person, which sometimes it's easier for them to understand than, just paper. Then they say, well, if it's my listing, a lot of times they're like, you know what, we would be more careful. We would be more comfortable if we had our own agent. And so then I'm like, okay, so I'm showing the property for my seller anyways at that point, and they understand that you're not going to work with me as a transaction broker. Then I am a seller's agent. So don't tell me anything you don't want me to know, right? But here, let's look at the property. If we sell it, great. Then call your agent and we'll talk about it. I'm not holding people hostage over that initial meeting unless they sign, right? I have had in the last 2 months someone sign transaction agency with me, write the contract, present the offer, do all that, and then I've had the buyer call and say that they wanted to work with their own agent and had that agent submit the offer. And so at that point, I'm like, look, I've already gone through all the steps. So you can send me a 20% referral fee. Because I explained it to you, right?
I think it's just a great opportunity for us to do more with the buyers prior to showing, because I've never been an agent to get a phone call and somebody, oh, I'm sitting in front of the house. Can you show it to me right now? And then jump in my car and go. That's never been my way of doing things. So I think it's good to have more of a consultation with the buyer prior to looking at houses, if at all possible. And it's not, so that way when they do get to the point where they're going to go see properties, they already kind of know you because you've already spent the time with them. So I know in California, I think that's kind of the approach that a lot of agents are starting to take, instead of just, yeah, I'll go show you the property. Like, I remember when I first started, I didn't require a buyer to have a pre-approval before showing a property. And then I saw what that does. It puts you in a rat race. You're just showing property, and then they can't write an offer because they don't have a pre-approval. So it's kind of the same concept. Have the consultation. In that consultation, you find out about the pre-approval. You find out where they're at as far as what step in the process. And then when they go to sign, you've gone through kind of all the troubleshooting of sorts, and you're probably going to maintain more of those people than not. You're going to weed out the looky-loos. You're going to weed out the people that just want to go see houses, just to go see houses for something to do, because I was one of those people. But I only went to open, not anymore. I only went to open houses. I never bothered an agent to show me a house when I knew I wasn't going to buy. I never did that. But I think this is a relationship business. And I think that seems to get lost when times get tough.
Yeah.
Because of that whole mindset and mentality. When it's tough, we got to hustle, 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 hustle. No, you still need to nurture, nurture, nurture.
And I felt sort of, just me, I felt sort of opposite of that. I felt more like I need to throw into education. I needed to throw into, because I felt like we were under such scrutiny as agents that we really had to follow the book the last few months. And so, I am, like you said, I'm sending like buyer's guides and buyer's information. And, when I'm meeting them and I say, if you're not going to sign with me, don't tell me anything you don't want me to know, right? But, make sure that if you're getting your pre-qual, if you're like a VA or FHA and you're not doing 20% down, do you know the reserve amount in addition to your down payment that you need, right? And do you, like, questions that are like really in depth that people don't think about, right? Yeah. I think exactly what you're saying right now. If you want to pick up buyers, the better job that you do giving them, all the information that they need to purchase and be secure and feel like this agent, you, Debbie, or me, we gave them more than the average agent. We're not just trying to slap them into the car and go show. You know what I mean? I think it creates a better relationship and will ultimately turn into more transactions for you as they refer other people to you. The more educated you are and the more you provide for them, the more confident they're going to be. So that's what I think. I think this whole thing has opened up great opportunity to differentiate yourself between just the everyday agent and being a professional. So yes, I agree. Trying to think. Suma, did I answer everything that you just talked about? You said something. Okay, yeah. So you're closing next week. I'm seeing a lot more delays in closings too. In general, I don't know why. But I'm finding that buyers are getting out there and some lenders aren't doing that. That this is what your payment's going to be. This is what reserves are going to be. This is what you need, blah, blah, blah. I'm having to ask lenders more questions than I've ever had to ask before, which I don't know what's going on with that, but anybody else feeling that way? No? Are you just getting your lender letters and everything's going smooth? Because I'm finding that they are not. So no. Okay, so we are going to wrap it up here, but I want everybody to tell me what their favorite Thanksgiving, or are you going to celebrate Thanksgiving number one? And then what's your favorite dish for Thanksgiving? Suma.
Oh, pie as usual. Apple pie. I like it. We do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Julie, what are you making Thanksgiving or are you going to a Thanksgiving?
I'm going to my sister's, but I'm bringing 6 pies. And my favorite dish is it's cottage cheese salad. I just have it over the holidays.
Am I just silly that I don't know what that is? I don't either.
It's cottage cheese, mandarin oranges, fruit cocktail, raspberry powdered jello. You just stir it in, and then Cool Whip, and you mix it all together. It's so good.
Huh. I wonder. I've never had that. Debbie, what is your favorite? And are you making it this year, or are you going somewhere? Or no?
I will be home and I'm cooking for one, and that is
Okay.
and I got a little turkey breast that's about that big. But there you go. But my favorite is the next day to have a turkey sandwich just on white bread with mayonnaise and mustard and salt and pepper.
Oh, girl, that is good.
It's the most simple sandwich, but it is my favorite part of Thanksgiving is that turkey sandwich the next day.
I'm a weird one. I don't like turkey, but I do like a turkey fettuccine. So I'll make turkey fettuccine with the leftovers and turkey sandwiches. I dig. I do. Girl, I do. And I don't know if I'm going to be alone or if I'm going to be able to go to Grand Junction. We're having a 35-inch, 40-inch snowstorm on I-70, and I was going to go see my daughter. So my favorite thing to make is deviled eggs. I actually, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, usually have people calling me, asking me to make them for them. So deviled eggs, and I know how to make pies, but I have a thing about just going to Costco and getting the pumpkin pie from Costco because they make it right. So why do I spend like 2 hours in the kitchen? Making a cobbler. Oh, you should come out here. I'll make you one. Fly out.
I make some pretty good one. I make good peach cobbler. So I'll do peach cobbler.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. Well, I hope everybody has a fabulous holiday. I hope you took something from this meeting. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys another day. I don't know if I'm back in December or if I am just gonna hold off till the spring to see you again. But I wish you all the luck. And I do think rates are going to come down. They came down this week. I think they're going to come down even more in the spring. And I think if I took my little ball, I think we're all going to be slammed in February. I mean, slammed. So I'm just going to keep that mental. I am going to keep that mental state, and I'm going to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving, and I look forward to a great 25. So you guys have a great day.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye, hon.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.